Hello and welcome back to the church here at Corpus Christi. In a few short days, I'll be able to say that in person, and it's been something that I've been longing to say for the last 2.5 months, ever since this time of quarantine took place. It's been my hope and my dream. It's been something I've been longing for, to welcome you back here to your parish family, to your parish home. As we prepare to welcome you home, though, there are a few things that we wanted to convey just to give you a sense of ease as you're preparing to come back here. What have we been doing to help welcome you home to your parish community? What have we been doing to keep you safe, to keep you comfortable? And so as we've put together this plan, as we put together a plan for welcoming you home, we've had four main kind of criteria, four main guidelines that we've used. The first is Mass, that you've heard so much about in the public sphere. Another one you've heard so much about, seat of separation. A third one, we're just going to ask you really greatly just to be patient with us. Be patient as we figure out what's going to work best here in this space. We have all these ideas, but until you're here, we're not really sure how it's going to all work out. And the fourth one is just that separation and seating as well. And so what I want to do in this video, just to review how we're going to do all those things and what we're going to do, so that when you come back to Mass, when you come here for Mass, you'll know what to expect, so you can feel more safe, more comfortable, and to provide a good worship experience for you, for the whole community here at Corpus Christi. The first thing to notice when you arrive at church, at the main doors of the church, through the gathering space, there will still be greeters at the doors. So if you have questions, they'll know what to do. They'll have, if you have questions of what the procedures and policies are, just stop and ask them. Ask them from a little bit of separation, but they'll be able to direct you to all the different things. And one of the things we're asking people to think about is that the gathering space, I know here at Corpus in a particular way, we love to gather. We have this beautiful gathering space that's been added on and is such a wonderful place to gather. But for now, we kind of want to think of it as more of a pass-through space instead of a gathering space. A pass-through space instead of a gathering space. To kind of keep moving, walk through, say hi from a distance, but we want to keep people moving into the church as much as we're able. We're going to have hand sanitizer out in the gathering space, but if you have your own, please bring it, because we don't have a lot, and so we're going to go through it pretty quickly, I have a feeling. When you come to Mass, we're going to prefer that you wear a mask. I know they're not comfortable. I know they're warm. I know they can fog up your glasses for one. But it's a sign of love and respect to your neighbor. It's a sign of love and respect to them as much as to yourself, for your safety, for their safety. We're not going to turn anyone away from not wearing a mask, but we certainly do prefer that you do wear a mask. We ask that as you're coming in, just keep a little bit of space between the person in front of you, so that there is that social distancing requirement. We want to be socially connected, but physically distanced. Outside, as you're coming up, like the blocks in the concrete are about 6, 8, 10 feet across. So just let one person get off the block in front of you before you come on to that next block. In the gathering space, the tiles are 6 feet. So just kind of keep an eye, 6 to 10 feet in front of you. Just that spacing. In our pews, we're about 2 or 3 pews of space is about 6 feet. Gives you a sense of how far that is. I think we're always thinking 6 feet's a little bit closer than what it actually is. So, and that's that importance of keeping moving. As you stop, people will, back behind you will slow up. And so we want to keep people moving. The ushers are going to help people find seats as they come in. And we're looking at how we're going to space out different things. One of the things that's going to be noticed, we're going to mark off every other pew, so that one Mass, this pew will be marked off, at the next Mass, that pew will be marked off. And we're just going to ask people not to sit in those pews that are marked off, and to be aware of how that spacing down the pew is as well. So these pews are about 10, 12, 18 feet long. Different pews are different lengths. So we're not, maybe a family's going to sit in one, maybe 2 couples, maybe 3 individuals are going to be able to fit in one. Some of the smaller pews in the back, maybe it's just a couple or 2 individuals. Just be aware of that spacing that's around you when you come to Mass. We will have overflow seating both in the gathering space. We're going to have some chairs available in the gathering space for you to, if you're more comfortable sitting out there. If it's a nice day like today as the sun is shining, we have speakers outside. You're certainly welcome to sit outside as well. We're going to also have overflow seating downstairs in Francis Hall for those who would prefer to sit down there. We're going to fill this space up, this level up first before we send people downstairs. That's our overall goal, to never turn away people, to make as much space available as we can with that distancing requirements that we have to follow. Mass is going to be conducted as normal. Mass will be familiar to you with a few small changes that we're going to implement during this time as well. Mass may be a little bit shorter, homilies a little bit shorter. This is intentional to limit the time that we're in the building. Worship aids. We're going to use worship aids paper copies instead of hymnals. Hymnals are hard to clean, and so we're going to use those paper worship aids. We're going to publish them on our website before the weekend, so you can come if you'd rather use your phone or a tablet. That will be an available option. At the end of Mass, those that have been used and those that have been distributed, they're going to be recycled, taken away. New ones will be put out for the next Mass. We may have a little bit simpler singing, hymns that are familiar to you, things like that are going to keep Mass a little bit simpler during this time. We're going to have one lector instead of two. Just these little things to kind of help expedite the process of Mass without rushing, without making it too much of a hurry. And you'll notice for our collection, one of the things we don't want to pass baskets hand to hand. That just wouldn't be good right now, wouldn't be prudent at this point. So we're going to put a collection basket in the gathering space. We're going to have an usher kind of just watching over it just to make sure it's safe. So you can drop your envelope when you come in, you can drop your envelope when you go out. And the other thing is, we so often bring the gifts forward, which is a great sign of the community sending their gifts of bread and wine to the table, to the altar, to be transformed. We're going to have the gifts up on the credence table during this time as well. At communion time, there are a couple, that's where perhaps the biggest changes are going to take place. We're asking people not to hold hands during the Our Father. Maybe if you're with the people that you live with, that would be fine, but no one else. We're not going to do the sign of peace. It just doesn't seem prudent at this point as well. And the ministers for communion, we're going to have only 3 ministers of communion. The priest and the deacon, we're going to minister communion where we normally do here on this level of the church. Up in the balcony just above me, we're going to send the sacristan who normally helps coordinate things for us. The sacristan is going to come up for communion to the people who are upstairs in the balcony, and is also going to take care of people who might be seated out in the gathering space or outside. And we're going to, instead of 2 lines coming up down this side aisle as we normally would do, we're going to have one section come up for communion first, and then the other section is going to come up for communion. It just, again, ways to keep people safe, ways to keep people distance from one another, ways to still do things with an expedited process without rushing through things. Also, in regards to communion, I know there are a number of people who prefer to receive communion on the tongue. What we're going to do is we're going to just ask you to come up to communion last. After everyone else has received communion, I'm going to sanitize my hands. Come to the priest, come to the deacon. We're going to sanitize our hands before you receive. We'll sanitize for people at that point as we need to, and we'll sanitize our hands after communion as well, just to keep everybody as safe as possible. And then after Mass, as Mass finishes, just going to ask people, I know, again, here, we love to talk, we love to socialize, we love to be a part of a community, but we're going to ask you to kind of move that outside as much as possible, not to dawdle inside, not to hang around inside the building. We're going to ask you to carry on those conversations in the parking lot. Normally, we don't do parking lot conversations, but in this instance, we're going to encourage conversations out in the parking lot instead of here in the church building. We're going to have bulletins available. They're going to be on tables in the gathering space. You can pick them up on the way out. And just keep moving as you go, and away from a distance instead of shaking hands, giving hugs, all those kind of things. And the last thing to note, the church is going to be cleaned. One of the reasons we're doing this pew and then this pew on Mass versus Mass, that way we can just wipe off the top of the pews instead of having to wipe off the seats. But we're going to clean and sanitize the church as best we can. We're going to clean and sanitize any of the hard surfaces that are around, just so that from one Mass to the next Mass, people can feel safe and comfortable coming to church. Again, with this though, we know that there are going to be a lot of people who aren't comfortable coming to Mass yet. And just that reminder, you don't have to come just yet. Archbishop Schnur has extended that indult to anyone who doesn't feel safe, anyone who has health risks, anyone who might be at risk of bringing it home to someone. Just to be comfortable staying at home if you would prefer to do that. We're going to continue to live stream Mass. We're going to continue to publish things out on the web so you can still feel as connected as possible. And again, always patience with us is here at the parish staff as we try to figure out how to do all these things. This first weekend coming up for Pentecost, it's going to be a lot of things that we're trying to figure out and work through. We're going to try and be as patient as we can with you, because we know coming to Mass, there's such a force of habit in doing different things, reaching out for the Our Father, doing those things. So we might give some gentle reminders all through Mass, just for those sort of those kind ways of, okay, we're in a different period right now, and we're trying to establish our new normal. And as we do so, we can still worship the Lord in beauty and in truth. Soon we'll be worshiping the Lord back here in this place. Can't wait to see you again in just a few short days. And please know of my prayers for you over this time. We've missed you. We've all missed you here at the parish office. And we can't wait to hear the stories of how you've managed through this time of quarantine, time of socially distanced, but still a connection with the Lord, who is our living body, who feeds us in the living body of Christ. God bless everyone, and I will see you soon.